He was only held for several hours. Still, it's not every day that the leader of a sovereign state is abducted.
There is no doubt that the situation does need to be dealt with.
In the same breath, Libya's prime minister calling for cooler heads to prevail. Ali Zaitan, taken by gunmen from the Tripoli hotel where he resides before dawn. Under what circumstances? Who gave the order? A warning? Or some even claiming an attempted coup. It's all unfolding 5 days after U.S. commandos angered Libyans by capturing senior al-Qaeda suspect Abu Anas al-Libi off the streets of Tripoli and whisking him away to a warship. Zaitan denies he was in the know, as Washington's raid weakened Libya's government and strengthened the hand of an Islamist opposition. Zaitan's secular-led government, born of Libya's first general election since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi 2 years ago. But what authority when faced with local militias who've yet to disarm and who, to make their point, have gone so far as to shut down the country's main oil terminals? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at the abduction of Libya's prime minister. With us to talk about it from Tunis, he's a former member of the Libyan National Transitional Council, Wahid Bourshan. Welcome back to the France 24 debate. We're privileged to have here in the studio France 24's Libya correspondent, Marine Cazalis, welcome. Adel Riem of the French School of Social Sciences, EHESS. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks.
From Dublin, his book is called Soldier for a Summer, One Irishman's Part in Gaddafi's Downfall. Sam Najer, thank you for being with us. Your book, has it hit the stands yet?
It has, yes. It's been released last month.
Okay. The France 24 debate, where, by the way, you can join the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter, our hashtag F24debate. Now, scant details from the man himself, Ali Zaitan, making a brief statement after his release. More on what we know from Kedevan Gorjestani.
Taken and released in the space of a few hours, Ali Zaitan is already back to work. Surrounded by his government and lawmakers, he called for calm.
I hope that we can deal with this situation with wisdom, without tension and escalation.
The Libyan prime minister was taken by armed men from his hotel in Tripoli before dawn amid confusion as to whether he had been arrested or abducted. The Libyan government quickly confirmed he'd been taken to an unknown destination for unknown reasons. But a later statement by the Interior Ministry said he was being held in the building and treated well. The move was apparently in retaliation to a U.S. raid that captured al-Qaeda member Anas al-Libi on Saturday. The men who took Zaitan were initially identified as the Operations Room of Libyan Revolutionaries, a militia under the authority of the Interior and the Defense Ministries. But the group later dismissed the accusations.
The Operations Room of Libya's Revolutionaries denies any connection to the disappearance of Mr. Ali Zaitan.
The Prime Minister's brief capture by former rebels highlights the weakness of Libya's power structure. The government is faced with armed groups which in theory take their orders from the authorities, but largely act independently.
All right, conflicting statements, conflicting claims over who took the prime minister. Let's go to Tripoli and reporter Will Crisp. Will, what's the latest on that?
So we've got the statements from the Prime Minister on his release, very tired looking, Ali Zaitan speaking. He said, when he spoke after meeting with the GNC after his release, he said that he described his detention as part of political games. So that really shines a light on, it gives us some insight into what he thinks is responsible and maybe implying that senior figures, political figures, could be tied into this, this kind of situation.
Senior figures, we've also heard all sorts of rumors swirled this Thursday about who was abducted as well. Was he the only one?
As far as we can tell, he was the only one. There were rumors about the finance minister and other people. In fact, today, Tripoli's rumor mill is overactive at the best of times. And today it was really hyperactive for sure, because people were saying all kinds of things, all kinds of groups were releasing statements, people taking to Libyan TV to point the finger at other groups, then other leaders and senior figures coming to reply. So it's been a very chaotic day here in Libya.
All right, and one final question for you, Will. A direct link between this abduction and that U.S. raid from last weekend?
A direct link, it's hard to say, but it's definite that a lot of people are very, very angry about this, especially the minority of militant extremists there in Libya. Ansar al-Sharia is a very active group which has gained a lot of support over the last 12 months as the security situation has deteriorated and faith in the government has deteriorated. Ansar has gained popularity and it takes to the streets for 2 days. In the wake of the abduction of al-Libi. So they're very angry and they're very capable of executing military operations.
All right, a volatile situation. Will Crisp, I want to thank you for that update from Tripoli. We can stay in Tripoli right now and speak to Adel Al-Griani. He's with the operations room of Libya's revolutionaries, that group that was initially accused. You saw in the report that they issued a denial. Adel, once again, your group in no way responsible for abducting the prime minister.
Yes, good evening. 100%. We're denying all these accuses, and we straight away say that we're not responsible. There is a formal speaker from the Ministry of Affairs, and they pronounced that they are the responsible for what's happened, and they said that they transfer everything to the court. Again, we say, since the day one we start as the Libyan Revolution Chamber Operations, everybody accusing us and attacking us for no reasons. The only reason is that this is the first time we got the funds from the government, we got the recognition, and we got the missions, which is protect Tripoli and all Libya and make everybody safe. So what we're trying to do here is to make everything safe for everybody. But the old regime from Gaddafi gangsters who are ruling the country at the moment, to be honest, they make our mission impossible, and they try to accuse us with whatever reason to make us out of the pictures and again bring the Gaddafi regime back to the power.
So are you saying that this is a setup by loyalists to the old Gaddafi regime?
100%. This is one of the big doors we can, or one of the big pictures we are now considering. And what we want and what we asked for from the government is to open investigation straight away and take whoever responsible after this investigation to the court or to the judge straight away. And we are ready to any questions and to any accused. And we will defend ourselves. We have our law officers, and they are ready to answer any questions.
All right, we're speaking to Adel Al-Griani of the operations room of Libya's revolutionaries in the France 24 debate. One final question for you, Adel. Do you link this abduction with last Saturday's raid by U.S. Special Forces on Tripoli, where they abducted that Al-Qaeda suspect?
I don't think that we go that side. I think I will link it to the weak government who is working so hard to divide the country and who is working so hard to make everything messy. My proof that we have the high budget for this year, over $68 billion the government asked for this budget for this year, and the safety for my people is zero, and the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of the Affairs doing nothing, and the spending the money I don't know where. So I'm accusing this government for everything on the ground, make my country not safe. They are responsible 100%, and they have to face the questions from the conference or from the parliament.
All right, I want to thank you very much, Adel Al-Griani of the operations room of Libya's revolutionaries, for joining us here in the France 24 debate. Wow, Marine Cazalis, we've heard, let's see, 1, 2, 3 possible areas to look for who did it. This group that denies all, as you just heard. People who were pro-Gaddafi in the past. And you heard our correspondent Will Crisp say, watch out for some of the more radical Salafists. And then you've heard different motives. Some link it to the U.S. raid, some don't.
Well, I guess it's very, as usual, the situation in Libya is very confusing and very chaotic. It's really hard to say right now, without any proof, who exactly were this armed men who seized the Prime Minister this morning in the hotel. What we know for sure about the group of Adel Ghariani who just spoke is that it's even though they deny being involved in the seizure of the Prime Minister, what we know about them is like it's a powerful group in the sense that late April and early May this year, they were behind the pressure put on the government to pass the political isolation law. You remember the groups of armed men also were seizing the ministries after the government actually agreed to pass the political isolation law. So we know that some groups in the shadow may have a lot of influence. It doesn't mean that they are responsible for what happened this morning, but what it means is that many different groups of armed men are able to exert a lot of pressure on the government.
And you heard his last answer there, where he was complaining not about the U.S. raid, but about the fact that he feels as though his forces are not being paid enough to protect Tripoli.
Well, it's a very common complaint from a lot of the different armed groups, and it's true that some of them haven't been paid or haven't been paid enough, especially in the borders. Regarding the situation of his men in particular, I wouldn't comment on that, as I'm not sure about whether his men have been paid or not. But what's for sure is that, as for usual, you have different. You may find different reasons for the event of this morning.
Let's go to Tunis and Wahid Bourshan. Wahid, can you help us shed some light on this? Who do you think did it and why?
Well, clearly, Francois, what Mr. Ghariani has shown us is how these armed groups see themselves and their authority and their impact on the government. I mean, literally, the gentleman speaks as of power to be, in a sense that they have the mandate to do and dictate things to the Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister clearly was shaking today. He has gone through a day, through an experience that I think all Libyans feel very, very close to, and obviously not extremely happy about what happened. What I think your correspondent, France 24, I think depicted the situation correctly. We have a weak government. In a weak state like that, any group can look strong, can look big, can look forceful. I think we have many of them. We have regional groups, we have the Federalists, we have ideologue, we have people from the old regime and so on and so forth. So you got all of these subgroups in the midst of weak government. Any of them can do a lot, and they can see that they have done a lot. I mean, the questions that I think what we need to answer to, how could a group of people can come into the Prime Minister where he's staying in his room and can pick him up? Where are his guards? Where's his protection? Where all this armament going to? And if he cannot defend himself as a Prime Minister, what kind of situation, militarily, security-wise, we have in Libya? So the idea here, it's not how strong this group or how impacting, it's because of the weak state that we have, that any of them can look very tough. Believe me, in my view, they're not that big. I think there's a kind of a bigger group than that. I think there's more forces that they can impact them. I think what happened today, in a sense, was a message. A small group like them trying to show that they're not happy about what's going on. So it's not that they're strong, it is the state of the country is so weak.
Wahid, earlier this week, the Prime Minister went to Morocco. On his way home, he made an unscheduled stop in Tunis, according to sources, decided, rather than take the plane back to Tripoli, to drive overland. Did you have a sense that something like this could happen?
I think that exactly the example that shows that he himself has no confidence in his apparatus that's protecting him or his routes. I know for a fact that his protection is not the best. So clearly, our Prime Minister is in a confused state. He cannot even protect his own surrounding. He cannot even protect his routes. Probably he's not even confident about the people around him passing on information. The fact that he's staying in the hotel, I know his residence where it is. That's not the hotel. The fact that those people knew where he's staying and they picked up the right time and so on. A group of people, small group of people, would be able to do this. That shows me, that tells me that the security apparatus around him is definitely not good.
All right. On Twitter, we have a reaction from Bhutto, who says, those who brought instability to Libya just to remove Gaddafi are to blame for sure. Adel Riyam, you heard just there what Wahid Bushan had to say about the brittle state of the central authority in Tripoli at this point. Were you expecting any different at this stage?
No, actually it's not surprising at all. As he just indicated, the real point is the weakness of the state. But let's not forget in 2011 what happened. And it's a new and young nation that's going through a process of building. And so they need a new political imagination and new political goals to build a broader stability among the groups. Now the problem is when the authority of the state is not strong enough to protect itself and its citizen, then the legitimacy of the same state is in a question. So you can have different interpretations from different groups because that's the political game. Every group will give a reading that's not completely correct or incorrect, but at least that will serve their own goals.
Another reaction on Facebook from Henderson. It might be the beginning of season 2 of the Libyan revolution. Sam Najer, let me ask you. You know better than most how the different militias work, having yourself been a part of the Tripoli brigade that overthrew Gaddafi. What are your thoughts on whodunit?
Well, I'd just like to point out, first of all, that I think that a lot of people are sitting in the panel and saying that the government are very weak, the government are very weak. What I would like to say about that is I think the government has put itself in this position simply in the fact that after the country was literally, we handed, well, not just ourselves in the Tripoli brigade, but the revolutionaries in general, handed the country to them on a silver platter. And it was you know, but there was absolutely no progress by the government. From that time until now, we've seen, I've personally seen very little, if not no, serious progress done on the ground for the Libyan situation, whether it be politically, financially. For example, I'll give you an example. The Warriors Affairs Commission, which was set up to deal to train in ex-rebel or veteran fighters and give them a hope, a new hope, something to do, put the gun down, here's a new fresh start for you. That commission was null and void. We've absolutely seen nothing from it.
Sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off briefly because we have to take a quick break. We'll pick up. Stay with us. It's the France 24 debate. David, you got to give me more of a heads up now.